As you travel through the world of survival Minecraft, you'll find many relics of the past. Old temples, abandoned mines, traps that won't fool anyone but some ancient idiot. But the relic that always stuck out to me is not even a building. It's not even a structure either. It's just zombie pig people. Just what is their deal? Why are they zombies? Why are they pigs? Why are they men? Are they even men? Out of all monsters of Minecraft, they look the most savage, but act the most cultured. Won't even bother you unless you hurt one of theirs first. Nothing about them makes sense the longer you look at them. So how do they fit into the rest of the game's world? Well, my name is Zloyxp, and with a lot of overthinking and cherry-picking of facts, I just might have cracked the mystery of our not-so-friendly nether neighbors. Today, let's talk about the lore of the pigmen race. What makes figuring pigmen out so tricky is that, unlike villagers and zombies, there is no particular structure associated with them. The pigmen randomly roam the nether, and while it's pretty safe to assume that the nether fortresses may have been built by them, it stops making sense once you look at the custom creatures spawning only in the nether fortresses. The blazes and wither skeletons, they are fortress specific, you won't meet them anywhere else. Pigmen, on the other hand, are almost excessively everywhere. On top of that, they're the only monster in the fortress not at all interested in defending it from player. As long as you don't smack one of their friends, you can snatch all the nether brick you want. Despite that, every single one of them seems to be carrying around a sword, and a golden one no less. Since no gold ore spawns in the nether, this means that the pigmen aren't even native there. Some event has banished them into the nether, perhaps already in their zombified state. My first crazy idea that would almost explain this was to assume that the Steve zombies of Overworld and zombie pigmen are actually the same species. That all zombies of Minecraft are actually former pig people, it's just the ones in the nether are not entirely zombified. After all, they do share the same model and a lot of behavior. Maybe the open bone parts of the pigmen are bits where they cut off their infected flesh to prevent further infection, which is why the nether pigmen are only half rotten and act fairly civilized compared to the swarm and eat you crowd. Sadly, despite how much I like this theory, it is easily disproved by comparing the skeletons of the old world with the zombie pigmen skulls. The noses and nostrils are way too different. Admittedly, there's no proof that the skeletons and zombies of the old world themselves are the same species, but the eyes and the nose holes on them line up rather well, and they match way better than with pigmen. Plus it leaves good old Steve with some friends to get eaten by. So that theory is a dud. Do we get another one? Oh yes we do. And one with actual anthropology in it. Okay, really mild anthropology, but still. You see, the three things we know about pigmen, no settlements, insanely rich and really well armed, actually line up rather well with behavior of nomadic Mongol tribes. They'd ride into battle, seize your favorite village, steal everybody's stuff and disappear into the sunset. And on top of that, the nomadic tribes were known to easily overpower much more technologically advanced civilizations. Of course, actual Mongols were more into bows, arrows and horses rather than swords and pigs. But I can tell you, these guys sure did like their gold. So much so that for 300 years in history, Russia, where I'm from, was actually paying them up just so they would leave it alone. So you can see how a bunch of sentient pigs would probably piss somebody off enough to banish them into the nether. But who and how? Well, those questions turned out to be way trickier than I anticipated. No structure in the entire overworld ever has a nether portal or a hint to make one. I guess Moeng felt like Yogscast already explained it to the world too well, so they just didn't even leave a faintest hint about it into the actual game. And that's where I was saved by every theory's favorite scapegoat. The Easter eggs! Zombie pigmen actually have three ways of appearing in the overworld. First is to spawn in the nether and actually pass through the portal, that's the most obvious one. The other one is to just spawn in the overworld next to a portal, creating the appearance of passing through one. And the third one is for a pig to get struck by lightning, transforming it into a zombie pigman. This makes for the slowest gold farm ever, by the way. Lightning overall does several things in Minecraft. It turns creepers charged, it sometimes spawns for skeleton horsemen, and it turns villagers into witches. So what I'm saying is, lightning basically equals magic. So at one point, the nomad folk of regular old pigmen pissed somebody off so much they literally zapped them. into another dimension. But what deranged evil creature would ever have the power to do that? Yeah, I know. Welcome to another installment of Zloyxp telling you that villagers are bad. And I admit, what I'm about to suggest is pretty freaking out there, so just hear me out, draw your own conclusions, and in fact, if you have your own visions of the whole pigment history thing, do tell in the comments. I had mad fun reading and discussing your theories on my Who Built the End Cities video, so I'm always happy to see your interpretation. But back to our pigs. The thing that originally made me think that the villagers have something to do with the pigmen was actually a bug. You see, a part of pigmen code was basically copy-pasted from a regular zombie. As a result, while pigmen would never harm a villager, the villagers themselves would instantly skedaddle upon seeing a zombie pig roaming around. This wouldn't mean much, the pigmen truly are pretty frightening, but then you realize that the villagers don't really share the same reaction when it comes to other scary stuff. Skeletons? Pff, no big deal. Blazes? Meh. An actual dragon from space that evaporates nearly every block by just touching it? Not impressed. But a zombie pigman just standing there minding their own business caused them to flip out. On top of that, iron golems will happily kick their butt, no matter if the piggies are hostile or not. There had to be a reason to it, and a long history of war between the two nations sounds like a reason enough to me. My theory goes that at one point in that war, the witches were employed to get rid of pigmen once and for all. And what the witches came up with was the first form of chemical warfare known to the Minecraft world. The zombie plague! The virus swiftly spread across the pigmen and the zombified ones were rapidly wiped out by golems, while the ones that didn't turn right away escaped to the nether where they reside to this day. Of course, at one point the virus seemingly got out of hand, jumped species and spread to villagers and Steves, which is how we got Steve and villager zombies. But the witches were quick to come up with a cure. Just throw a potion of weakness and feed the zombie a golden apple. That'll fix him right up. They even established remote laboratories for further experiments with the virus, which you can find under the igloos in snowy plains. This even explains why you can only ever heal zombie villagers and not zombie pigmen. They only wanted it to cure who they cared about. So that's my take on the history of the pigmen. They were nomads, got in a war with villagers, got zombified and got banished. But there is one more level into this theory. One I will need you in full-on tinfoil hat mode. And one I actually like even more. Are you ready for this? What if pigmen are not at all the bad guys here? What if this amplification was not a reply to aggression, but an act of takeover? We know the villagers treasure gold. It can be found in the blacksmith chests, and the clerics will happily trade you emeralds for gold ingots. Moreover, the clerics will trade you emeralds for rotten flesh, basically encouraging you to go kill a bunch of zombie pigmen and finish their job for you. Not only do I like this theory because of how poetic it is, greedy people developing a virus to rob somebody else, but the virus then turning on them and destroying their own civilization, but also because this theory, villagers driving the pigmen away to the netherworld, actually lines up rather well with the real-life development of Minecraft. Turns out, before the villagers were implemented, Mojang wanted the world to be populated by regular, non-zombified pig people. It's only later that they came up with villagers, and those somehow were a better idea. Of course, one can't use a development cycle as a part of their argument for an in-game lore-based theory, because by the very definition, real world is not a part of Minecraft world. But it's always funny when something lines up that well together. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on the rise and fall of Pigmen Empire. Share your own ideas in the comments, I'm always really eager to see other takes on this matter. And I promise, next overthinking video will not have villagers or villager bashing in it. It will, however, be even crazier than this one, because if all is well, next week we'll be talking about the hidden history of none other than Steve, the supposed main character of the game, and how it lines up rather too well with nobody's favorite creepypasta, the Herobrine. In the meantime, do leave a like on this video to let me know that you enjoyed this type of content, and do subscribe so you won't miss the next episodes. Check out my own survival series in the end card, and that's gonna be it for today. Thank you everybody so much for watching. This has been Zloyxp, to be continued. Have a good one. Bye bye.